Okay, we're rolling.
So again, we have one of our rebuilt fountains over here. The Stan Bitters clay pots have been restored. I don't know if you saw them before they were restored, but they're completely covered by minerals. You couldn't see any of that color, so it's really nice to see that vibrancy come back. We have behind us one of our vacant storefronts. Got about 18 vacancies right now. Working with that property owner. So one of the things we're doing for the Fulton Street party on October 21st is we are going to be utilizing the vacant storefronts for one-night pop-up businesses. So we're working with a variety of fashion-related businesses to go into this space together. So clothing and jewelry and all that kind of stuff, multiple vendors in there. We have a jazz club that will be going on in the mezzanine called Little Bourbon Street. Mark Rivera right back here, ladies and gentlemen. He's helping us put that together and has been organizing all the music for that night. So you'll have a jazz club with craft cocktails with Courtney Foster and her husband JD doing the cocktails. So that'll be fun. We have Casa de Tamales, who will be having their grand reopening the night before the party starts on the 20th. And then next door we'll have another pop-up restaurant from the chef from the vineyard in Madera. So incorporating a lot of our Central Valley community. This is a facade project restoration over here, the building that has China Express in Joyeria, Mexico. And this is an example of something that's not going well. That you say, what do you do during the day in revitalization? So we're working with the city. They have certain insurance requirements if you're going to put scaffolding or work trucks on the sidewalk. And this is a small job, so the small contractors haven't been able to meet those insurance contracts requirements. And the big contractors don't want to do this small job. So we're kind of caught in between right now and trying to help that property owner get through that process. So those are the kinds of things we do on a day-to-day basis. That vacant space to the left will be another building. The idea with the pop-ups, a couple of things. One is when people come down here, we want to show what a revitalized downtown will look like, but we're not there yet. So by putting pop-up businesses in, it gets our imagination going, and we hope that someone will see that and say, I could do a business in there. It's a little easier to market than marketing just a vacant space sometimes. I use the example of people staging vacant houses so you can see how the layout works. We want you to be able to see how the layout works. We don't want anyone run over during our tours. The JCPenney building here is going to the city this next week to go through the development process on Tuesday. And the plan is to do 66 lofts upstairs and ground floor retail. And this is a potential location where we might be able to do our public market. We identified 2 potential sites during the Fulton Corridor specific plan, that old Gottschalk's building that the city owns, and also the JCPenney building. So I'm glad that we incorporated 2 potential sites in case one of them didn't work. So
same owner?
Same owner. He bought the building a few years ago, and he has private financing to do the project now. So he's still working through that process, but it looks like that's going to be ready to get started, hopefully pretty relatively soon. Fingers crossed. All right. Any questions? Yes.
On the JCPenney, on the other side, are they still going to have the glass blocks on the ground?
Yes. The glass blocks are really, they're a really cool feature when you walk over the sidewalk and you see the little glass block squares. And it's amazing, even that they look very dirty and cloudy, kind of. When you're in the basement, they let in a lot of light. Yeah. So we want to keep all of those features in, and they had to replace some of the glass block over on this side as well, and that was tricky to find those replacements. Yes, sir.
About the security, are you planning security cameras or special private security?
We have private security now that goes pretty much through the dead time of the night from like 10 to 6 or so. But I think we're going to have to shift and start expanding it more into the evening hours. So we've been talking about how as things change, we'll need to adapt things like security as we're going forward. So I don't know if any of you saw, there was a post yesterday about some BMX riders and skateboarders, and they were, what do they call it, scraping or something on the fountain. So we'll have to make sure as this is coming back. That wasn't a problem a few weeks ago, now it's a problem, so we need to keep adjusting and staying on top of that. And then as more nighttime restaurants open, then that will present different security needs. So, you know, just being aware and being flexible. We've gotten to the point now with security that we have good data we're collecting. So as we see those, you know, hot spots pop up, we'll be able to adjust more quickly. Mostly for the last several years, it's just been kind of protecting it during the dead time, but there wasn't physical stuff we were trying to protect other than the buildings. So that's a good question. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
So the facade restoration, are you looking to expose brick behind it, or is there something else you're putting on top of it, like black granite, I guess?
Well, the downtown development code says if there's a historic facade there behind it, that's the first priority, is to preserve the historic. In this one, it's an example of where we would have liked that, but the mortar or the grout they used on the facade was so good or bad, depending on point of view, that it actually, if they take it off, it's going to wreck the brick behind it and it won't be usable. So they found another brick to replicate the old brick that was there. So again, trying to be flexible as we go forward with this.
So we may one day see nothing but bricks looking down this instead of
well,
stucco.
yeah. So in the 1950s and 60s, downtowns really across the country covered up the old character of their buildings, not just Fresno. And it was really a reflection of that time where everyone wanted to be modern, and they were worried about competing with the new shopping centers, so they tried to look like them, and they covered up a lot of the history. So a lot of cities have already gone through a facade program to have grants to pull these 60s era facades down. We haven't done that in Fresno very well, unfortunately. So now we'll let the market do that. As these buildings get fixed up, they'll get better tenants, and the tenants will thrive. And we have really good economic data. When you spend money on fixing a facade, it pays for itself in less than 3 years, which is a pretty quick turnaround. So as we share that information, that will encourage more. And as we start getting some nice ones, the ugly ones start realizing that they look even uglier, and that begins to change things over time as well. In Pasadena, which really started revitalizing in 1985 or so, they just had their last building with the ugly facade on it change a couple of years ago. So it's really something that takes time, but with every update, things just look better and better. And we want to bring out that historic character. That's something that differentiates us from any new shopping center, the fact that we do have this really great old brick and its designs and craftsmanship that we can highlight as a difference that makes us better, or different at least, than all the competing shopping areas. Yes.
I have a question about like ride sharing. When we have Uber and Lyft drivers, I know it's not a problem here, but it can easily be a problem. We have big events and stuff. You have drivers double parking. There's a way, like in San Francisco, where you can either block off the street or you can force them to pick up in certain zones. Can we have those?
Sure, that's something we haven't thought about yet, so that's a good point.
That's something to think about for future, as it grows, as it becomes more popular.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good suggestion. That was not on my radar. All right, should we move on?
Yes.
All right.